Hello and welcome to 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐿 Bundesliga Matchday 23, and what a Bundesliga season we are enjoying this year with Bayer Leverkusen 8 points advantage now to Bayern Munich, 3 consecutive defeats for Tuchel men, and of course when you lose 3 games in a row, you are in trouble if you are a Bayern Munich manager. Ronan Murphy, hello.
Hello, yeah, poor old Thomas. He's not having a good time at the moment, is he? It's a difficult time in the Tuchel household, I'd say, at the moment. But yeah, 3 defeats in a row. You don't really expect that to happen for any Bayern Munich manager, and then you don't expect news to come out after the match that the board are keeping faith in that manager that's lost 3 games in a row. So who knows what will happen between this time and the end of the season, but they do have another difficult game against Leipzig coming up, and so if he loses that, maybe they might change their minds. We'll see how things go.
Indeed, and there are rumors about Hansi Flick going back to Bayern Munich. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, let's analyze whatever we have in this weekend in Germany. Of course, support us, press the like, and subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And for a Friday evening, we have a great game because whenever Bayer Leverkusen is playing, we are going to have fun. Bayer Leverkusen Mainz is the first game, as I said at the beginning, 8 points distance now with Bayern Munich. Now it looks like Leverkusen is not going to be called like that. 4 consecutive wins, beat Heidenheim on the road, and it's not an easy trip, and now they have kind of an easy schedule. Mainz at home should be easy, I guess, and then Cologne, teams in the bottom part of the schedule of the standings.
Yeah, you would think Bayer Leverkusen will kind of easily win this one. It looks like an easy game on paper for them. You would imagine that Xabi Alonso will be looking at this and licking his lips in anticipation of a game against Mainz, because they really have been struggling so far this season. I like the fact that we've been mentioning how the Opta supercomputer each week has predicted Leverkusen to win the league. Now they're up to 89%. So a couple of weeks ago we were saying it was 49% before that Bayern Munich game, but now it's 89%. You can get them at odds of 1.17. So they're very heavily favoured. Bayern are out to 4 at the moment. So it looks like this is Bayer Leverkusen's league to lose. So yeah, it's looking very good for Leverkusen at the moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing them finally end Bayern Munich's dominance and win the Bundesliga, because it's about time that we got someone different at the top of the league, isn't it? Really. So yeah, so for this one, I'm looking at the previous games. Earlier this season, Leverkusen won 3-0 in Mainz earlier this season. They won 3-0 away last season as well, and it was a 3-2 in the other game. So this one seems to be a game that usually has goals in it, and goals for Leverkusen. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a high scoring game. Over 2 goals is 1.95. Average goals per team is 2.6 for Leverkusen, but Mainz are only averaging 0.8 goals per game this season so far. So I like the look of a Leverkusen 3-0 win. If you want to go for the correct score, that's 7. Both teams to score no is another option that looks good to me here, 1.71. But I think Bayer Leverkusen are going to win this one, win it easily, and I don't see Mainz scoring at all. So that's why my tip here is Leverkusen to win 2-0.
Well, only 17 goals scored this season for Mainz. Is the second lowest tally in the Bundesliga, so I understand that you don't see Mainz scoring. They got a very important win the previous weekend against Augsburg, so they are still hopeful to keep the category, but I guess they don't expect to grab points from Leverkusen. On Saturday, Gladbach Bochum is the first game. Gladbach is still in really poor form, really bad season, 5 winless games. They lost to Leipzig. Bochum, on the other side, was the great surprise of the weekend with that famous win against Bayern Munich 3-2. Their away record, though, is quite poor this season. They got the points at home, away 7 points and only 1 victory.
Yeah, if you look at the odds, it kind of seems like this is predicted to be an open game by the bookies, and I think it will be. Obviously, Bochum are coming in off the back of that tremendous victory, a historic win for them, I suppose you could say. And then Gladbach are just consistently inconsistent. They are not putting in great performance that perhaps we would have expected from them, and they keep disappointing week in, week out. So it's hard to predict them to win any match at the moment. It seems that they could slip up against anybody. Gladbach obviously won this one earlier in the season 3-1. Not sure it's going to happen here again, but there could be goals in this one. The most common result in this match in the past is 2-2. The most common result in Mönchengladbach is 2-2 as well. So there could be lots of goals in it. Both teams kind of have shown this season that, or this year even, that they're capable of conceding lots of goals. Bochum scored 3 against Bayern and conceded 3 to Dortmund in recent weeks. And the same can be said about Gladbach. They conceded 3 to Bayern, but 3 past Stuttgart. So these are teams that can score goals, concede goals. The total goals for both teams is 1.6 and 1.2, or the average goals, I should say there. So I think this could be a match with lots of goals in it. Over 2.5 goals has happened in 80% of Gladbach's games and 61% of Bochum. So for this one, I like the look of over 3 goals, 2.12 or 2.02 over 3 goals. Looks like a good tip here.
Fourth from bottom, Gladbach right now 6 points away from Cologne. They are having a terrible season. At the same time, we have Stuttgart, Cologne, with Stuttgart in the opposite side of the standings, still in Champions League spot, 6 points advantage over Leipzig in the fight for that top 4 finish. They beat Darmstadt. Guirassy back in the score sheet is 4 consecutive wins for Stuttgart. Cologne, on the other hand, still fighting to get out from the bottom 3. Is going to be very difficult for them. Of course, no one is stopping Stuttgart right now. At the end, they might play Champions League next season.
Yeah, it's looking good for them in the race for Champions League, because nothing seems to be able to stop them at the moment. They get injuries, they have players missing for international duty, and it doesn't seem to make any difference. We see Guirassy is back among the goals. He's up to 18 goals for the season. That's the most ever for a Stuttgart player at this stage of the season, 18 after the first 22 match days. So that is really impressive for him. Obviously, Undav has 14, but he's been ruled out now for a few weeks, so they'll have to do without him. But yeah, they just seem to get so many goals from them too, and they continue to score goals. If you remember 2 seasons ago, Stuttgart's top scorer was 𝐜𝐭𝐿, and he got 6 goals in the 21-22 season. So they have a player that has 3 times that many and a player that has twice that many already this season. So this is a team that are full of goals. In Cologne, not so much. The most common result here is 0-0, and there was a 0-0 in Cologne last season, but thankfully Stuttgart won the reverse tie 3-0. So I would be expecting something closer to a 3-0 than a 0-0 in this match this weekend. Stuttgart have scored 2 or more goals in each of their last 5 games in all competitions, so they are on a great scoring streak. Stuttgart 3-0 correct score could be an option here, 6.7. Stuttgart to win to 0, I like to look up as well, 2.25, but I'm going for both teams to score no here, because I just don't think that Cologne are capable of scoring.
Well, remember that Cologne has scored 15 goals in 22 games. This is a really, really poor tally for a team that is struggling to keep the category. Probably Cologne and Mainz, they are going to fight to avoid the direct relegation, but one of these teams will play the play out. Next game is Union Berlin, Heidenheim. Now Union Berlin much more comfortable, back-to-back victories, and this is a big surprise for them because they were able to win away from home in Hoffenheim. Always low-scoring games. When they play at home, they are much stronger. It's 4 consecutive wins. Perhaps another low-scoring game, this one.
Yeah, I would think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Although we've said in recent weeks that Heidenheim, they play quite open. They get goals for and against. You saw that obviously against Bayer Leverkusen last week. They were able to score and get back into that tie. It was 2-1 in the end, but Union Berlin just do not play entertaining games. kind of 1-0 or 0-0 or 1-1 in all their games. It doesn't really happen. Every single game they've played this year has 2 or fewer goals, and only one game that Union Berlin have been involved in 2024 has had both teams to score. So it's just, they are a team that play boring football matches. They play boring football. They make their opponents play boring football. They're just a boring team to watch at the moment, unfortunately. They have an average of 1 goal a game in this season, and Heidenheim 1.4 goals a game. So it's not like this is going to be, on paper, a high-scoring match. Heidenheim started the year with 3 1-1 draws and a 0-0 draw. So they have their own kind of history in this year that they have been capable of playing low-scoring games. They've obviously had that 2-1 at the weekend and a 2-1 the previous game, but they haven't had more than 3 goals in any game this year. So it doesn't look like it's going to happen here, especially against Union Berlin. Both teams to score no is 1.95 here. A correct score of 1-0 to Heidenheim, I'd like to look up. That's 11. But my tip for this one is total goals under 2.25. And that's just over 2 at the moment.
Yeah, we don't expect a thriller usually in Union Berlin games. Next one is Werder Bremen. Darmstadt, I think perhaps the great season of Werder Bremen has been overlooked because we have Leverkusen or Stuttgart shining, but they are doing a great season. Some seasons ago, they were fighting against relegation, and now they are closer to European spots. Is 4 wins in the last 5 games, playing Darmstadt at home. I guess they will continue with the good streak.
Yeah, they should make it 5 wins from 6 games, really, you would expect, because Darmstadt are one of the better opponents to come up against, especially at home in the Bundesliga. It was a 6-goal thriller earlier this season, if you remember. Darmstadt actually won that one 4-2. So this could be a high-scoring affair. Hopefully it will be, because some of the other games that are on the cards this weekend, they don't really scream maybe super spectacle games. So perhaps this one could surprise people. Bremen won 1-0 in the last home game between the sides, but that was back in March 2022 in the second division. So they don't have a huge recent history of playing each other. The average goals here is 1.4 to 1.0, but I think there could be a chance for Bremen to maybe score more goals than that. But if you do like the look of the kind of recent form of both teams, or think that that's indicative of what could happen here, both teams to score no is 2.01, because Darmstadt probably aren't going to score. So correct score 1-0 is 7.5 if you're predicting a low score game. I'm hoping that it's going to be a high scoring game, but I'm not so sure. So Bremen to win to 0, 2.88 is another option I'd like to look up. But I think, like you said, people seem to be underestimating Bremen so far this season, so I think they should easily win here. So Bremen win 1.7 just looks like a comfortable bet for me for this one.
You are not expecting a lot of goals in this weekend in the Bundesliga. The best game is Bayern Munich. Leipzig, we don't get these odds for Bayern Munich at home, especially 1.74 at this moment. For Bayern Munich to beat Leipzig, but of course they come under pressure after 3 consecutive defeats with a horrible week, especially for 𝐜𝐭𝐚𝐲, sent off against Lazio, sent off against Bochum. The title race is almost impossible. The Kane curse is still going on. Everything is kind of negative in turmoil for Bayern Munich, not only in the pitch, but I think everyone is looking to the offices. The club is such a mess that this gets impressed in the pitch.
Yeah, it is. It's like Goretzka came out after that game and he said it's like a horror movie that never ends, and that's what it feels like for Bayern Munich at the moment. It probably felt like that for 𝐜𝐿. 2 red cards in 2 games. Luckily he can't play in this one, so he won't be getting 3 and 3 because he's suspended. So that's the only silver lining perhaps for him. Maybe Eric Dyer will get a run out, and that might give Leipzig a chance, because Bayern have been dismal at the back so far this year, and Tuchel seems to have a hard time turning things around. He's already up to 11 defeats in his stint as Bayern Munich manager, which is one more than Nagelsmann had in his 2 seasons there. So in 84 games, Nagelsmann only lost 10 times. In 44 games, Tuchel's lost 11 times. So it seems like perhaps that decision to get rid of Nagelsmann and bring in Tuchel was a disastrous one, because we remember how Bayern just kind of they kind of fell over the finish line last season with Borussia Dortmund slipping up. So perhaps they will look back and think that Tuchel was the wrong man for the job, and will be looking elsewhere this summer. 𝐿𝐴𝐵 Alonso could be on the market, obviously. So that one will be interesting for Liverpool fans to keep an eye on, whether Bayern Munich want to come in and try and get him from under Liverpool's claws, perhaps. The most common result here is 1-1, despite the fact that on paper it seems like a thriller. A lot of the times it usually isn't, unfortunately. Last season it was 1-3 in Munich. Leipzig won that one. It was 1-1 in Leipzig. This season, if you remember, the start of the year was 3-0 to Leipzig in the Super Cup. So Bayern Munich actually haven't beaten Leipzig in a couple of years. So they will be hoping for a victory here. But with the way that they're playing at the moment, it's hard to see that coming. Both teams to score, yes, here is 1.51. You would imagine both teams will score, but I'm not sure if both teams will score a lot of goals. I think this could be a kind of a tense affair, especially with the way that Thomas Tuchel is trying to fight for his job at the moment. So it could be a tense affair. That's why I like the look of RB Leipzig +1 at 2.02. So if it ends up a draw, it could come in good. But overall, I think total goals under 2 with 3.25. I think that could be a good one here, because I don't think there's going to be lots of goals in this one.
Well, in the last 4 meetings between these two teams, Bayern were unable to beat Leipzig. Remember that the season started in a really bad way for Bayern when they lost the German Super Cup 3-0 to RB Leipzig. Let's see if what started in a bad way in the summer keeps going in a really bad way for Bayern Munich. And who knows if this is Tuchel last game on Bayern's bench if Bayern Munich lose this game. Very, very important one on Saturday.
Obviously I read that wrong. It's total goals under 3.25 is 2 rather than the other way around. Total goals under 2 would make for a very disappointing game.
Okay, so it's under 3
under 3.25. Yeah, that's it. 2.01.
That's less risky.
Yes.
Okay, next games. Now on Sunday, we have Frankfurt, Wolfsburg, 6 in the standings. Frankfurt, another draw against Freiburg. Is 3 draws in the last 5 for Frankfurt. Wolfsburg is the king of draws, 5 draws in the last 6. You see these stats, you see the odds for a draw, and I would risk the draw here is 3.6. Why not?
Yeah, it definitely could be a safe option to go for the draw. I think this one, it's hard to predict who will win, so a draw looks good. Wolfsburg, obviously, they were impressive in that 1-1 draw with Dortmund. They created 2.1 xG to Dortmund's 1.21, so they were fully deserved of that draw there. And Frankfurt, they were equally impressive in their 3-3 draw. With Freiburg, with 𝐻𝐞𝐿 coming off the bench to replace 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐿, he came off the bench, he scored twice, he was called on early, and he could be called on again repeatedly, because it looks like 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐽 is out for the season, unfortunately. That man seems to be cursed. He got injured at Wolves, obviously, last season, and now he's injured again this season, so his season looks to be over, and that's a disappointing one and a huge blow for Frankfurt, and it will give Wolfsburg maybe some confidence going into this match, because he can be a goal scorer on his day. So it is a boost for Wolfsburg that he is ruled out for this one. It was 2-0 to Wolfsburg earlier this season, 2-2 in Wolfsburg, and 1-0 0-1 to Wolfsburg in Frankfurt last season. So Wolfsburg have got the better of Frankfurt in the past couple of years. Both teams are winless this month, so both teams will be looking for their first win in February. So that points again to your prediction that it could be a draw here. Because both teams are struggling to find wins at the moment. Wolfsburg are actually winless in this year, but they have had some good displays in draws, but they haven't been able to get it over the line. So draw, like I said, could be an option here. Wolfsburg win obviously is 3.4 or more. But if you want to kind of back both options, a draw and a Wolfsburg win, I like the look of Wolfsburg Asian handicap plus a quarter. That's 2. I think that could be an option for this one.
Next game is Dortmund-Hoffenheim, with Dortmund focus on the Champions League. They play PSV That's why they need to rest, and now they play on Sunday. Last two home games were comfortable victories against Freiburg and Bochum and Hoffenheim. They are winless in the last 8 games, so this shouldn't be a difficult one for Dortmund.
No, you would hope not, and Dortmund should be looking to bounce back here because, like we've said in recent weeks, that this Dortmund team had been kind of a different, we were predicting a different Dortmund, and they have shown it at times, winning 3 and 4-0 in matches, but then at other times they've kind of reverted to the old school Dortmund that put in disappointing results like they did at the weekend and like they did a few weeks ago in that scoreless draw with Heidenheim. So which Dortmund will we see? Hopefully we'll see the more attacking, more exciting Dortmund. The stats this so far this season, Dortmund were able to win 1-0 in the cup and 3-1 in Hoffenheim. So they will be hoping that they can make a 3 wins and 3 against Hoffenheim. Dortmund won both matches last season 1-0. So this match, a few 1-0s in the recent past, but hopefully not quite here. I'm liking the look of both teams to score, yes, actually, because Dortmund often find problems at the back. They make problems for themselves at the back. They they have both teams to score, yes, in 4 of their 6 games so far in 2024, and they had 3 score draws in a row before that 1-0 loss to Union Berlin last weekend. So they are kind of open enough at the back and letting in goals and conceding goals. So both teams to score, yes, here looks good, 1.45. Correct score of a 1-1 is 12. If you think that the disappointing Dortmund are going to return again, correct score 1-1 could be an option here. Hoffenheim Asian handicap 0 looks good as well at 4.29. So I think this will be a close one. So that's why I'm looking at Hoffenheim Asian handicap plus 1.25. That's 1.92. I think this one will be close, and Hoffenheim should be able to kind of keep it close for the majority.
Well, it would be a surprise, taking in consideration also Hoffenheim form. Dortmund, they have the pressure on Leipzig behind their back, so they have also to focus and to win in the Bundesliga to secure a top 4 spot. And the last game is Augsburg-Freiburg. Freiburg, they play in the Europa League, a crucial game against Lens in a very close tie. Again, conceding a lot of goals in this Bundesliga, winless in the last 5 games in all competitions for Freiburg, and we know that it's not easy to travel to Augsburg.
No, it never is. It's a difficult place to go in Bavaria. It's a tough trip down there. So the only thing is for Freiburg, this indicates that there could be a change from some of the other games that we've predicted so far. I've gone for low scoring games, a lot of the games so far, but this one I think it could be a high scoring one. One team has scored 3 goals in each of Freiburg's last 5 league games. So they've either scored 3 or conceded 3 in each game. So it kind of indicates that it could be a high scoring one. And obviously that match last weekend was a 3-3 game. So there was plenty of goals there. So the Freiburg created 2.77 𝐿𝐴 in that 3-3 draw with Frankfurt. So they're not just scoring fortunate goals, they're creating good chances, which maybe we haven't seen from Freiburg many seasons, because they're usually known for being a great team at the back and kind of eking out good results. But it seems to be a slightly different team that are creating chances and scoring goals at the moment. Also good here for Freiburg, a good indication is that Augsburg's goalkeeper Finn Dahmen, he hasn't yet to keep a clean sheet in the 35 games he's played in Bundesliga with Mainz and Augsburg. He's still not kept a clean sheet, so that's the longest in Bundesliga history. It's the worst ever start from any goalkeeper as regards to clean sheets, so he shouldn't probably keep one here either. So Augsburg, they haven't beaten Freiburg since 2018. That history is on their side too. Freiburg, they're over 3 for the win, so I like the look of that. Freiburg Asian handicap 0, 2.26. One looks good to me as well, but I think there just will be goals in this game, so I'm going for total goals over 2.75 for this one.
Interesting also, the Asian handicap 0 for Freiburg. They are the underdog in this game. We saw the tough game to beat, team to beat Style in the Europa League when they play in the Volaert against Lens, but in the Bundesliga we are seeing a leaky version of the team in the Black Forest. Ronan, your safe bet?
It's Bayer Leverkusen Asian handicap minus 1.25. That's at 1.5.
And the ACCA?
My ACCA, I'm going for some teams to win but not concede. So Stuttgart to win to 0, Leverkusen to win to 0, and Union Heidenheim total goals under 2.5. And that's a total of 7.95.
All right. Best of luck to everyone. Let's keep enjoying this Bundesliga full of surprises this season. Bye-bye.
Bye.